What up? Good morning. Good morning. It is 6:30. Wow. I can't believe I'm up. Now, of course I'm up. Listen, you go out with the boys, you wake up like a man, you take care of your business. I know a lot of us watching the game. Congratulations, to Casey. Wow. Anyway, so you go to sleep 1 o'clock in the morning, you gotta go at 4:45. You either hit the snooze button or you don't. I did hit the snooze button once, but you know what? Got my iced coffee, which you can see. Just did my sauna, cold barrel. I think today's a double barrel day, maybe a fast day after all the food from the Super Bowl parties and whatnot. I feel like I was in the We Are the World mood. I don't know if you guys saw the making of We Are the World. I watched it over the weekend again with my wife, and take memory lane. I'm born in 1972, so 1985 I was 13, and a Jewish boy from Long Island. I was like on all the bar mitzvahs, and this was like the anthem. So like reliving it with all the, those major celebrities. Friggin', it's good to see Michael Jackson kind of normal. I think that was maybe his last normal year. But anyway, pretty cool. Bruce Springsteen, Cindy Lauper. The amount of talent in that room was nuts. Anyway, here we are. Let's talk the stock market because, that's why we are here at the 6:30 Club, where we try and go over some ideas. Alexa, off. We try and go over some ideas, what we're looking at, where we're at. Yesterday, a lot of the Super Bowl party, I know where I was at. Everyone's like, Red Dog, oh my goodness, what's next? S&P 5,000, aren't we due for a pullback? Aren't we due for a correction? We've had 9 out of 10 up weeks. A lot of talk, about S&P 5,000. And I was like, well, what are you going to do? I'm like, you're going to, we're 51 years old. You're going to sell out your 401k because you think we might have a 2 to 5% correction in the next few weeks? I'm like, no, just keep putting in monthly flows. You be a lawyer. You keep running your business. I'm like, don't worry about the stock market. I'm like, well, what about Lilly? What about this? What about Nvidia? I'm like, are you investing in individual stocks? Because do you do that? Or like, what do you do? But anyway, I was like, come on. I want to just make my skirt steak sandwiches and chill the hell out. I don't want to talk stock market. And then like, well, what about Portnoy, your fight? I'm like, it's not really a fight. I'm like, everyone just chill out. And anyway, with all that being said, good morning. Let me say hello to some of my dogs around the world. We got Wa in the house. We got Ali. We got Sam. What's up, Sam? Good morning, Tony. Cheers to you. Hopefully everyone's getting their day ready. Pretty quiet morning. SPYs are up 20 cents. IWM's up 30 cents. Qs are up a little bit. A lot of small things up or down. Nvidia's friggin' an animal. Tomorrow's a CPI. We got to be a little careful with CPI. And a lot of sequences work. And I think last week a lot of people had a really good week. Last week was probably my best week in a while. A lot of good things happened. Like my Amazon options went, MDB options went. It's also in Amazon stock. Then you had little offshoot stuff that's been working out, and been a nice run, nice active sequence. Right, Swiss man. We have a good active sequence going up. Frank Tucci from Toronto. How you doing? We got Pennsylvania in the house. Shanker's back, and if you look up here, let's go. You will see. Look at the SPYs. Hold on. Let's get a little update. Well, this is the S&P cash. Look at this move. This is a really nice active sequence. Started actually in October. Crossed the downtrend here and above the 21-day all the way up, all the way to 5,030. Wow. In what's it called? In my 2024 report, I said we can go to 5,200. But I guess we didn't all think it's going to happen in the first few months. But you never know how it's going to happen. You just ride the sequences. And people are like, oh, Red Dog, is this going to finally be our first down week? I'm like, let's play it by ear. At this point, we're at the 8th day. We're 3 days up, a little extended. So, would I be going cajones to the wall now? I think you missed a lot of setups. There are still some setups out there. So we'll probably just got to take it slow. The SPYs right now, if you look, continuing this active sequence. Let's look at it a little closer. It's there's been ways to navigate it, right? 496.05. If you remember, we had 2 inside days. I'm like, in order to get to S&P 5,000 or SPYs 500 plus, got to get above and stay above 496.05. Well, after 2 inside days, that's another push. So with that being said, would I be buying or adding to the SPYs right now? probably not. I'm actually, what I did is I'm short some premium and long the SPYs. So if I like today, what I might do for this week, like right now the SPYs are at 501, go out to Friday and sell maybe the 504 calls, or the 505s. It'll probably be like $1.30, $1.50, just to sell some premium. So even if we get to 504, 505, you can make money on a lot of longs. And if we happen to, correct or go sideways for a week, you get to keep the premium. Some guys are saying, hey, I'm going to go out 2 weeks and buy puts. That's not so bad. If you're buying a set of puts out every 2 weeks, and you have 8 or 9 longs, you might lose on your puts, but that's your hedge to your 8 or 9 longs, and you're making a lot more money in your 8 or 9 longs if you have the right ones, and you lose a little bit on the puts. And then sometime, all of a sudden you get a little bit of a pullback. Insurance helps you, right? It sucks paying for insurance, but you have a nice house on the freaking water, and all of a sudden a hurricane comes. It's good to have. Yeah, it's getting a little extended there, but everything's extended. The Qs also. Remember last week, everyone's like, I'm shorting the Qs. I'm like, why? 2 inside days above the 8-day. You had a, like a 7-day consolidation, took 429.85 out, and here's a nice move to 437. So here's your 8-day. The trend has been strong. If you want to sell some premium, maybe for Friday, maybe go out and sell like the 540, the 440s for Friday, or 442s, and cut some premium and maneuver your portfolio approach. Been in a decent amount of trades, and all different kinds of trades. You have post earnings setups. You have actually earnings, setups that are going into earnings that you can play. There's a lot of things. So last week we were in Amazon. This doesn't really get much more textbook than this. I always talk about the good book in trading, because after doing this for 26 years, we do have a good book, high probability setups. That's what we like to do. We don't just throw sugar honey iced tea against the wall. We don't go sell options into earnings. We don't sell calls or sell puts or take it into the print. We, into earnings plays, a little risk is premium paid. You buy a call spread, a put spread, if you want to be involved and then trade it after. Well, Amazon, you could have done everything, which we did do. Amazon, if I probably look back at the last 4 weeks, one of my biggest earners, because we had a good call spread going into the print. I think I had the 165s by 170s, and it worked well. Then we were buying Amazon verse this 167.34. Okay, calculated. If you stay above a pro earnings gap and consolidate and not go into it, usually there's fast action. And then I added to this, Amazon when it cleared 172.50, it hit 175, trimmed some, stayed with some. So it was a great earnings play, and then post earnings play. And the best part about it was all calculated. It wasn't just like flipping a coin. I was listening to a video today in my sauna, and I heard a guy saying, attain. So it's not easy, but to attain success happens. To sustain success over time, you have to have a process and a plan. It's very easy to get lucky here and there, but to sustain, making monthly money or quarterly money over the course of a trading career, you need to have, the right, just the right high probability setups. Like if you're going to play blackjack, you could hit, you could double down on 11 versus a 6, and high probability you get a face card or a bust, and you make some money more over time than having no rules and doubling down on a 5 versus a 5 and not knowing you shouldn't take a card. So anyway, over the time you develop this. So at this point, we'll see how much it trends. The real setup for Amazon was last week. Someone's like, well, Meta looks very similar. I'm like, Meta does look similar, except for Meta, just the size of the move. Like Amazon, I'm like, we can get back to the all-time high of 187-ish. But, this had such a big move that it's just taking time. And on Friday, it was a little weaker. This morning, it's up a whole 11 cents. So this is a little bit of a focus this week, where Meta's right now here. The high from 473.59. So this is 473.59. I'm not in Meta, but it might be worth a look. Lately, Meta's a little loose and wide, but some of you guys are in verse 453. That is the strategy, or inverse the pro earnings gap. And now you'll see if it goes. Like sometimes it takes a while. Like Amazon was fast. Some people have been in this IBM for a while, and if you look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Took almost 2 weeks for it to finally, move up a little bit. And plus, there's where the gap was. It went into the gap, so then you had to readjust your pro earnings gap pivot, and that's what happened here. If you remember last week, I said, oh, now you could get back in IBM. A lot of guys wanted to be in IBM, and PS, it had a decent push, and I don't know if it's gonna get back to 196, but I'm just saying sometimes it happens fast, and sometimes it doesn't. Like look how fast Palantir went. Palantir had this. This was also a great earnings play. If you remember last week, we took a 17 by 1950 call spread, which made good money. And then some said, I'm buying versus the pro earnings gap. And it took no time to take out the pro earnings, the gap pivot high and go. So everything, everything's different. It's not all, it's not all the same. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? There was an error on Twitter and your 6:30 club was not displaying this morning. Oh, that's not good. I guess it's on for those of you guys watching, can you see the 6:30 club on YouTube? Are you guys on YouTube or are you guys on Twitter? Can't post comments to the same dictionary. Let's see. I don't want to be talking to myself. That's not fun. Let's see. All right. Well, anyway, maybe it'll replay. So Palantir is fast. Twitter's good. All right, Frank Tucci. Frank Tucci, that sounds like I don't know, Frank Tucci, like some kind of professional someone. But anyway, so that's Palantir. So instead of just rehashing last week, what could go this week? Well, Meta could probably do something. I'm in AMD. AMD is building an upper area. It's not quite Nvidia, which has been fantastic, but they can't all be Nvidia. This looks decent. It had a quick move on Friday. I am still long some. What's it doing this morning? AMD's up $1.22. So it's giving me a little bit of head start there. Question is, can you add to it? What's this high here? This is 175.10. So in order for this to get back towards the high that it was put in a 184.90, it's got to get above and stay above 175.10. So decent setup. I don't love being in names that are kind of lagging. X, not Twitter. All right. I'm an old dog. I still call it Twitter. So this is decent. Obviously, Nvidia has been the best out there. Nvidia. I remember the first Friday video I did. I started doing, because we don't do the 6:30 club on Friday. So me and Mike do like a week in review and a look ahead. And this was like, I was like, this is ready. Nvidia is ready. And then boom, look at that move. This has been an awesome, fast, great trade with so many different ways to do it. But I will say it also messes with your mind, because you're like, hey, you remember how much Nvidia you had at a portion of this sequence that broke out above here, and everyone's always like, I wish I had more. I wish I didn't sell it, or hey, I wish I didn't start fighting it and shorting it. Hopefully that's not you. But PS, Nvidia is opening up at a brand new high this morning. Wow. It's like the gift that keeps giving. It's up another 6. So Nvidia is opening above, what's this, 721.85. If you're not in Nvidia, this is probably not shouldn't be your first entry. Who knows? Maybe even there's a play where you could little cute short, if all of a sudden you see a divergence and it goes from up 6 to red. But really the major money has been buying dips this entire, sequence up. But, do you buy it today? No, you can't. You missed it. It's a bad setup. Bad setup for you if all of a sudden you're chasing it now. Let's see. Can you see? You couldn't even see my face in there. All right, we're having some problems here. Having some problems with 6:30 club today. Do we stay in the video? Bob, I would trim some. I use a tier system. Okay. I like to have multiple tiers so I could book some net money and then stay with the trade if you do that. And those who've been doing that, just say you bought 2,000 shares when it cleared 505, then maybe you held 1,000 the whole way and you traded around 1,000. Or maybe you had 500 shares and you held 200 and then you traded around it. It all depends on how you do it. Anyway, so Nvidia's been, Nvidia, SMCI, it's like, wow, they've just been in fuego. But again, learn, right? Look at this multi-month consolidation channel, and when it got above it and then stayed above the 8-day moving average, you had a awesome, huge trend with a lot of buyable spots. Okay, so there was a lot of money to be made sticking with the trend. You know the phrase "the trend is your friend." Well, it is, and that's why it actually is there as a famous phrase, because it can make you a lot of money if you stay with it. So today, kind of like in Nvidia, what should you be chasing? SMCI up 15 at 755. Holy cow! No, I wish I had this overnight. That would have been nice. A little free, little head start on the week and the day. So, have anyone made any cute money like fading into an up open? Well, yeah, if that's what you do, 755. It's very extended from the 8-day, which is about 100 points below. I would think, how do you do that? Well, just say it goes to 760, pulls back to 755, and the market pushes, and it doesn't. You see a relative weakness signal. Maybe you short versus 760, and then it goes from up 15 to red. You make 20 points. You have 500 shares. It's a decent, trade, or whatever it is you can handle, and then watch them. So, yeah, again, opening in new all-time highs on third up day. Not a great new entry if you have nothing on, but it doesn't mean you have to short it either. That's a good lesson to be learned. Just because you're not in something, you sold it early, doesn't mean you should be shorting it. Don't fight the tape. Yes, Tony, I agree. Square, yeah. Square, we had a great trade in December. Very choppy as hell here, and a reverse down. PayPal is blah. They're just, it's not really worth any. To me, it's a tough no trade. PayPal gap down, the other way, but then looks like there's some appetite here. I would just, let's see, PayPal, it's up at 19 cents. What's Square doing? It's up there, yeah. Just these small cap, IWM had a nice move, but it's still, it's been a tougher trade. Remember this 193.80. I'm like, if we can get above the slower pivot, take back all the moving averages, it could start another sequence after finally consolidating after the move from 205. Well, now it's opening above 199, day one, day two. Again, using day counters. Usually I like to buy day one, add day two, and then trim into day three. I'm usually not adding to anything on the third day higher. But anyway, so this, again, so different than the SPYs and the Qs, the small caps, everyone wants small caps to go. Everyone wants the equal way to catch up. And last week was a good week for that. Just tomorrow is the CPI, pretty important. People want to see benign inflation because, they want the Fed to cut rates. Right now, I think it's 20% odds that he's going to do it in March, 70% in May. At this point, market doesn't care too much. Google's fine. Google was, again, had a big gap lower, and it's been kind of working through the gap. So if you've been focused on Google, there's been stuff to do there. Here was a red dog reversal, that 139.87. This gap was all the way down here post earnings. Okay, so it's good to know where that is. And then boom, you had a little bit of capitulation by the sellers where you have the red dog reversal. It takes back the average. Then all of a sudden started getting in the gap here, and slowly but surely this gap has been disappearing. So that's a different type of trade. There's a lot of different types of trades out there. And at this point, you got to pick and choose and define your risk however it is for you. This ONON has been really good. Okay, it has a nice lower wedge, right? Nice lower wedge. In here, we're buying some options, buying some stock, and then it had a nice move to break above this. Okay, 29.66. Someone's like, where do I think it can go prior to numbers? Numbers aren't for a while. So, you want to take trades along the way. At this point, it looks like it could work its way back towards this 32-ish area. I'm seeing these sneakers everywhere. I'm even seeing high school kids wearing them. I have a pair. They have the alternative to the Hokas, which are the inch and a half. So I think, earnings could be good. And at this point, we'll see where it is. If it continues up to here, maybe the options that we bought turn them into a call spread, so it helps finance it and becomes a free play. Or they're up about 100% already and the stock's on the move, and, just use your tier system. So that's been good. What else has been good? Tesla changed a little bit. It shouldn't be something that you should be over focused on. Some people are still over focused on it. Be over focused on Nvidia, SMCI, AMD, AVGO. That's been the over focus. If you try to be along here, you gotta have to kind of be perfect. Usually it's better to buy Tesla when it's down $2 or $3 pre-market, goes green, gets you a trade. At this point, Tesla's up $1. It did take back the 8-day, which was something a little bit different. Remember, since breaking down here, it's been rejected into the 8-day this entire time. So now it's a little bit above it. So maybe there's a trade for it to get above this 196 to fill the rest of this post-earnings gap. A lot of moving averages above, a lot of resistance above, So just it's not an A+ anymore. It's just something to do when it's perfect. Up $1. It's not a really great setup. If you're long from this reversal or from Friday, what I always trim a little bit and then see, what happens next. Blink is Bill Blink. Again, if the IWM is going back to 205 or more, they need to have some small little names. And Blink is, I did play Blink back here. Okay, made good money. And then I also played it in here and then just got stopped out of the rest. I feel like if you have 15 positions on or 10 positions on, Blink could be one of them. But if you're just trading Blink or trading, it's not enough meat on the bone there. And, it's hard to make money and things like that. Like this Rumble, which I've been in now for a bunch of weeks. I have it on as one of my 10 names, but it's not something I'm overly focused trading. I've just been buying dips. I sell it on a rally, buy dips, sell it on a rally. And I've been doing that since here. Okay, since below 540, I've been buying Rumble every single time. And I've been trimming into strength and it's been going all the way up. Now, maybe it needs to test the 8-day, hold it, and then go sideways. And then I do think it can continue. But it's not like I'm trading this and that's it. You have to, trade the big names and have some other things you have on that can make you money that, that you're not overly focusing on it. But this has been a good trade. Even MSOS, I'm not overly focusing on it. I've been in it since December, and in the 7s and in options, and I've been trimming a little bit on the strength, buying a dip, blah, blah, blah. Now it's a little bit below the 8-day. I would think that in order for this to be any good, it should hold this, 917 area. I wouldn't want to see this get below the 21-day. People want news already. They want DEA news. They want safe banking. Can't just keep going the rumor that something's going to happen. Something has to happen. Otherwise, people get a little pissed. Well, I'm getting pissed. Anyway, so 6:53. All right. I'm only allowed to do this for 20 minutes. Hopefully you had a great, awesome Super Bowl. It was, game started off a little slow, defensive battle, and then it got better as it went on. Don't be a player hater. No reason for that. At this point, now that the Super Bowl's over, I would get your head out of the betting mind frame. There's the numbers that went through the system in betting is through the roof, crazy. I'm a little upset with the youth of America, and I'm a little upset with fantasy football, to be honest, because, my son's a freshman, and all these kids, all they wanted to do is bet because they've been playing fantasy football, which is our fault since they're like 5, and now all of a sudden, they had these websites where they gamble like little tokens that aren't real money, and what it did is it trained them to be friggin' gamblers. Now all they want to do is bet, and I've heard some crazy stories about kids getting absolutely annihilated, betting with bookies in high school. I'm like, holy cow! So watch your kids a little bit. Make sure you don't, it's not that cool to be such a huge gambler. But anyway, especially not in the stock market. In the stock market, it's a vehicle to put food on the table. It's a vehicle to make monthly and quarterly flows. If you do it for a living, it's a vehicle to put long-term flows in. So maybe after 30 years, you have a nice nest egg to retire. It's a vehicle to pay for college. It's not a vehicle to throw smack against the wall and have a fun time with it, because chances are when the market's great, you can do that a little bit, but when the market gets hard, it's going to wipe people out. So you don't want to be wiped out. Don't fall by don't get tranced in. Anyway, what's up, Dan? So we'll see how this trend continues. Okay, this is your SPYs. What I might do today is I might go out for Friday and sell some 505s as a hedge instead of buying puts, or you can just go out a week or two and buy some puts as protection just in case. There's a lot of people out there who are calling for a February decline, 2 to 5%, this and that. If you are buying SPY puts, just that's not your play. You should massage your positions and have that on the hedge. As the hedge doesn't work, you lose a little bit of money, but you make money everywhere else. So anyway, the trend's been strong. Hopefully you've been participating. You don't need to be perfect to make progress. Just make some progress, make some money, feel good, and work and evolve. That's all I'm going to say. And if you haven't seen the making of We Are the World, and you're somewhere in my age bracket or any age bracket, or even have your kids sit down and watch it, I thought it was awesome. Good luck today, and tomorrow's CPI, and manage those positions and manage your expectations. Not every week's going to be your best week. It just doesn't happen that way. Later, guys.